Good morning. We are Melissa, Valentina, Jennifer, and Daniela, and today we are going to present to you the Modernism movement. This presentation will be developed in 4 parts. The first part is the introduction, where I'm going to make a small description of this movement and the most important characteristics that define this movement. Secondly, we are going to talk about paintings and the most important artists in this movement. Then we are going to talk about music and the most important authors of this movement, and we are going to finally talk about the sculptures and what is the relationship of this movement with the books that we chose to present this term. Before we go further to know more specific information about this movement, we need to be clear about the definition of this one. Modernism is a philosophical movement that arose from enormous transitions in Western society during the 19th century and 20th century. Something to take into account about this movement are the factors that shape this modernism, and those were the development of modern industrial societies and the rapid growth of the city, followed by the World War I. Modernism was essentially based on a utopian vision of human life and society and a belief in progress or moving forward. It assumed that certain ultimate universal principles or truths, such as those formulated by religion or science, could be used to understand or explain reality. Some of the ideals the modernism movement created were pervading art, architecture, literature, religious faith, philosophy, social organization, activities of daily life, and even the science.
The artistical movement in modernism looked for a renewal in the late 19th and the early 20th century. It was also known as young art or new art. It was not only reflected in major arts such as painting, sculpture, and architecture, but also in new early decorative arts, glassware, and furniture design. The principles that define modernist artistical movement are, first, a rejection for history and conservative academic values, that is to say that they wanted to start a new kind of art. Also, innovation and experimentation with form, the shapes, colors, and lines that make up the work with a tendency to abstraction, and an emphasis on materials, techniques, and processes. For example, they took advantage of techniques that came along with the Industrial Revolution. Also, innovation and experimentation with form, the shapes, colors, and lines that make up the work with a tendency to abstraction, and an emphasis on materials, techniques, and processes. For example, they took advantage of techniques that came along with the Industrial Revolution. Another characteristic is the development of the real value. This is the artist's self-value of their work. In the past, before modern art, artists just assumed art had value. This was common during the previous eras because art then just revolved around religions. That is to say that modernist artists paint what they like and what made them happy.
Music in modernism is based on philosophical and aesthetic values, whose fundamental principle is the break with tradition and permanent innovation. Because of this, it is closely related to the avant-garde, thus innovation led to new forms of organization and close the harmonic, melodic, sonic, and rhythmic aspects of music. Some important museums like Igor Stravinsky and Bela Bartok. Authors like José Asunción Silva, he is considered one of the most essential writers in the first stage of modernism. He lived for years in various European cities such as Paris and London. His most important work is El Libro de Versos, a collection of poems containing recurring themes in modernism, such as love, tenderness, and the memory of better times. Jose Marti, Cuban politician, journalist, thinker, philosopher, and poet, founder of the Cuban Revolutionary Party, wrote a poetic and prose work of great value, in which the chronicles of Nuestra América and the poems Edad de Oro and Flores de Destierro.
Another author was Rubén Darío, who was one of the most important poets in Spanish language for his books such as Azul and Canto de la Vida y Esperanza. He was born in Nicaragua in 1867. In addition to poetry, he devoted himself to journalism and diplomacy. He influenced in modernism for his literary style, which will mark future generations of the poets. The sculptures were great models of Greco-Roman art, adopt the spirit of their time. They serve as inspiration for the sculptors of modernism's age to melt, sculpt, or carve their creations. The main sculptures are David, made by Donatello, and Joven en Cuclillas, made by Michelangelo, and other sculptors in Spain. Finally, modernism is related to Brave New World and Clockwork Orange, where government imposed a totalitarian system on the world state. They had control the population, and they used bioengineering to create citizens. Also, they use ecology to people accept their rules or something. That's it. Thank you so much.